Coming up on this week's Pembroke Dock Towncast, we've got roads, awards, surveys, banking, cash, and all the sport. Stick around, let's see what we do.
Be strong.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Towncast Pembroke Dock with me, Lee G, on my own, as always. So loads of stuff to crack on with this week, and as you might have kind of figured, I'm posting a little bit later in the week. Had another busy week, launched another couple of uh, rugby podcasts, international ones this time, one in America, one in Ireland. So yeah, I it's one of those things that that's where the focus is at the minute. But at some point we will have extra people on Towncast Pembroke Dock, and we'll make this a bit more of a regular thing at the start of the week. So let's crack on with what we've got now. So um, there are a couple of events to talk about, but not as many as I would usually go through because I just haven't had the time to do the research on it. So my apologies on that. But if you have got events coming up, please feel free to use our page, tag us in, we'll retweet it, we'll repost it, and things of such nature. So, what have we got coming up? Well, this weekend we've got long course coming up, which will affect Pembroke, more than Pembroke Dock, on Saturday and Sunday, mainly in the mornings, as usually done by Saturday. It's over by about 2ish. Sunday does tend to stretch on a little. But what it does is it brings traffic out to Pembroke and possibly a bit more traffic around Waterloo, Pool, that kind of area. So, yeah, just kind of being aware on that. There's also, if you're heading inland this weekend, there's loads of traffic around Carmarthen. So there's traffic works around Carmarthen. There's the Air Balloon Festival in Carmarthen Showground this weekend. There's roadworks heading into the M4 as well. And last time I headed up to the M4, I was stuck in those roadworks. It took a good half hour to get through, and that was a quiet time of the week. So if you are heading infield, just bear that in mind. There's still roadworks on Waterloo Hill, just at the top there as you get to the very top. So they are cracking on a pace, but they're going to be there a while as well. So just be aware of that as you're traveling around town. So things on this weekend. So 28th of June, Armed Forces weekend this week. So there are a couple of events going on and around the town. The main one is at the Heritage Centre, which is kind of like a fun day type of a thing. Stalls, events, celebrations. And that's from kind of 11 till 2. Everyone welcome over in the Heritage Centre. So as I said, there are other events going on this weekend. I just haven't had the time to research them on that. So by all means, tag me, tag us in, and we will repost and talk about them. So with that in mind, last week's event at the Heritage Centre, which was the 1940s show dance, was very well attended and a huge success by all accounts. Wasn't there myself, but from what I've been told, another great event in Pembroke Dock. Just goes to show that we can do it. We constantly put ourselves down. We constantly say, "Oh, maybe we're not big enough. Maybe we're not good enough." We can do this if we get ourselves together. So yeah, well done to the guys at the Heritage Centre. Fantastic evening had by all on that. So a couple of other things to run through, kind of town newsy kind of things. So the town awards have been launched again. So this happens every year. So you get to nominate people that have done something exceptional for the town, something to really promote the town, something positive for the town. So nomination forms are available on Town Centre website. I just tried to download it. It didn't let me download it. It let me download it, didn't let me open it. So I'm going to try it on Facebook later, but we'll share that post So if there's anyone in the town that you think, do you know what? And it's usually the people that go unrecognized, the people that just maintain a little bit of the town, the people that do litter picks, the people that tidy up a little bit of a communal corner. So those areas, those are the people that really deserve it. The people that get overlooked, the people that do the work without any expectation of recognition or thanks. Those are the people that we really wanna kind of get a hold of on this. So town awards are important. I remember many, 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 many years ago, my mother having a town award for some stuff, some volunteer stuff that she'd, I think it was with a pantomime society when we had the pantomime society. Um, but these awards really do show people um that they're valued, and it does encourage them to go, and it might encourage a few other people to go out and say, do you know what? Like, I've seen them looking after that corner of the playing fields. I'm gonna go and give them a hand. I'm gonna do a bit of sweeping up. I'm gonna do a bit of a litter pick. I'm gonna help paint something. It's the more of us that get involved, the more of us that help, the more of us that set up our own groups and try to do things, the better. And that's what these town awards are all about. It's about saying thank you to the people in the town to encourage others to go and do more, basically, on that. So the town awards are, say, nomination forms from the town council website. They are available. Oh, I did see. I'm wanting to say 6th of August was, but have a look on the town council website. That might be a date that got confused with some other stuff. So worth having a look on that one. Other things happening in the town. So there is a consultation, which as soon as you say that, as soon as they say consultation, half of you would like skipped on and gone, oh, I'll skip this bit. But these are the bits that are really important, and these get issued all the time because they have to be. And people go, oh, well, they'll never listen to me, so they don't take part in the consultation. The reality is that if your voice is in the consultation, it has to be considered. Okay, so you might not get exactly what you want out of it, but your views will be considered, and you'd be surprised how often things are amended based on consultation. So there's a travel consultation, which is basically for it's kind of creating like one of those half cycle path, half pavement kind of things, from High Street, Prospect Place. Where else is it? High Street, Prospect Place, Bush Street, Trinity Street, Prospect, and the Town Park. So I don't actually know where Trinity Street is. That's shocking. I've been here for 40 odd years and I don't know where Trinity Street is. So anyway, um, those are the areas affected. But the point of this consultation is to encourage more traffic, more non-vehicle traffic between the top of town and the town centre. And I've got no doubt that after this, this will kind of like spread into Penna and Buffland and those kinds of areas, and really bring how do we bring more people into the town centre? That's what, you know, I think I bang on about it quite a bit, but there are others that bang on about it way, way more than me. Why? Because it's really important. And when we come to talk about banks and stuff later, yeah, this stuff is important. So there's a travel consultation to, let's say, dual pavements, dual use pavements, but to make it easier to get into the town centre on bikes. Now, for those of you that have listened to my Pembroke Towncast as well, you will have heard me say about pedestrianising Main Street, and really looking at how do we bring people into the town centre. Same as what we've discussed that on here previously before. Okay, so if you're sitting in a car, you are not spending money in the town centre. this will tie in with banks again later. So getting people close to the town centre is good. Getting people into the town centre in cars, not so good. So we've got a massive car park the other side of Asda, yeah, on Route 9 coming around the back there. That's free. And that is a 2-minute walk into the town centre from there. Yeah, at worst. That is something that a lot of towns do not have. And I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, we need free parking in the town centre. No, we don't. We don't need free parking in the town centre. We need access parking for people who can't walk. So people who are disabled or things of such nature. We don't need a lot of parking in the town centre. We need to be using our town centre to bring more people in and spend money. We have got ample parking within easy walking distance. Yeah, I did an example walk. I did this years ago, where I walked from Fort Road, the length of Bush Street. Okay, so one end to the other. So that's pretty much the width of the town. Yeah, and I think I did that in about 15 minutes. So the town centre, kind of halfway in between, so 7 minutes either way. I kind of did something similar where from I walked from the Bethel Church at the top road, at the corner of Top Road, and I walked down the hill around Route 9 and then up to what was then the Cleddau Bridge. That took me about 20 minutes, but I did have to stop and talk to a couple of people on the way. So, we aren't massively far away from the town centre. So, yes, we need to bring access in, but actually connecting the town on bikes, e-scooters, that's a whole different ball game. Go and have a look at my podcast on the rules around e-scooters. I think that it's probably something that will come more in the future as they become more regulated and safer. But for now, this is about cycles and bringing people into the town centre. So if you're not involved in this, if you're not getting involved in this, either for or against, then when something happens, you can't really complain. You can't turn around and say, "Oh, they didn't listen to me," if your voice isn't there in the first place. What you can do is say, I put my point forward. It was considered, but there were other points that kind of overrode mine. But my voice has been heard. Okay, so grab hold of. I'll share this on our socials, but grab hold of the travel consultation survey because it will be important in that. Okay, other things as well. So this is kind of may affect us, may not. So I don't know if you've seen that St Oswald's in Pembroke, a car. Somehow I haven't seen it. I was there a couple of days before, but somehow a car has driven into the front of St Oswald's in Pembroke and caused a bit of damage. Apparently, allegedly, haven't seen it myself. Um, so that's had to be closed. So some services have had to be moved back into Argyle Street. In a way, we're lucky that we've got the two connected, so one can move to the other. But so that may make it a little bit busier in and around Argyle Street, but we'll keep you updated with what's happening in St Oswald's and where that goes from there. So before we move on to the chai bit, there is one other little bit that I wanted to quickly post about, which is if you're a business in town. So this is mainly business users, or even if you're thinking about setting up a business or you have run your own business in the past. I'm going to see if this captures that. Nope. Uh, so yeah, even if you've run a business or something like that in the past, so there is a survey out specifically for businesses. So again, I'll share this in our on our social media. Okay, the whole point of this is to find out what businesses actually need, and we'll talk about banking in a minute. Okay, but banking is a business and relies on other businesses. But this is about how PCC kind of supports local business. Um, Having said that, it's kind of like this is the message that we need to take up to those above and how we make it listen. So if you're in Pembroke, if you're running a business or you want to run a business or you have run a business, please do get hold of that survey. If you think about where we are at the minute, we've had we were told Freeport was going to solve a lot of issues, and then a lot of that money is now going to be sucked up by Port Talbot. There's a strong chance we're going to lose out on that again. We've seen the issues nationally with HS2 and being shortchanged with that. We've just seen the Oxford to Cambridge train link being classed as a Wales project, so we're going to lose out on money on that. You know, we in Wales, every single council in Wales has voted to have the Crown Estate funding return to Wales because it's our resources, it's where we are. We've been told no on that again. We are getting shafted left, right, and centre, and we need to start shouting about what we need. Okay, so in the same way about the travel survey, which is very much about a local one, the business survey is one where you can get involved and tell people further up the line, this is what Pembrokeshire needs. Okay, so it's not necessarily to tell Pembrokeshire County Council, but they will take bits out of it and they'll go, right, okay, we can do that, we can do that. This is something that we need to push up and get somebody else to deal with. But again, have your voice heard. There is no point in shouting on social media about how nobody listens to you if you're shouting at the wrong people. And this is an opportunity to get involved and let people know that this is what you need. So take it. Even if nothing comes from it, and it might take 12, 18 months for something to come from it, but make your voice heard and make your voice loud. That's what I'm going to say on that. So I will share that survey as well on our social media. I'll share it a couple of times. Please do share that as well. If you're a local business, please do encourage other local business owners to get involved in that as well, because it's really, really important that we have a strong voice within Pembrokeshire County Council and a strong voice within Wales about what we do. Okay, let's have a look at banking and how banking works in our town centre. You may have seen this week that the last bank in Pembroke Dock has closed. The last high street bank, the last main street high street bank, Lloyd's, has closed its doors for the last time. And the bit that annoys me about this, okay, so there are two bits. That banking is a business. We wouldn't tell any other business what they can and can't do. Okay. However, banking is a business that relies on people, and it has it's almost a statutory service. We all need bank accounts. We can't really survive now without bank accounts. So, the bit that annoys me with this is politicians jumping on the bandwagon and going, "Oh, this should never happen." And you can see them; they're all on social media, going, "Oh, this is disgraceful. This should never happen." The reality is that both main parties have had opportunities to sort this in the past and have decided not to. Okay, both of our two main politicians sitting around and moaning and complaining about this have had opportunities to sort this. Their parties have caused part of this. Okay, so for them to sit there and try to make political gain about trying to get you to vote for them in a couple of years' time, or 12 months' time, or 3 years' time, whatever it is, to me is a bit wrong. That's my take on it. It's wrong, and the reason it is because they, you know, it isn't. This isn't a Pembroke Dock issue. Yeah, this is a bigger issue. This is a town centre issue all over the UK. Banks. So I used to be a bank manager. I was a bank manager for a couple of years. Okay. Not in Pembroke Dock when I was living up the line. I quite enjoyed it, and I quite enjoyed it because my bank was a business hub. So I used to meet lots of local businesses. They'd be coming in to have a chat with our business advisors. They'd be paying in checks, they'd be paying in cash, they'd be paying in this, that, and the other. They'd be coming in for a chat. What about this? And so I'd just have a chat with them and I'd get to know them. It was also quite well used because we were outside of the main town centre and people used to drop off stuff on their way to and from work and things like that. We had a car park just over the road, so it was very easy for people to park over the road, walk in, do what they need to do, disappear. Didn't do anything for the high street, I'll be honest with you. So times have changed. You know, if if you haven't got your banking on your mobile phone already, then there's a strong chance that that's coming very, very near in the future because you will have to. You know, banks, old style banks used to make profit. You know, go back a step. How do banks make profit? Banks make profit by you pay your money into them, so they look after your money. They then take your money and lend it out to other people. They invest it in the stock market or gamble, as I like to call it. Um, you know, they then turn your money and find a way of making money out of your money. Okay. So every time you take out a credit card, every time you take out a loan, every time you take out a mortgage, that's you're borrowing money that somebody else put into their system, and you're going to take a little bit of it out and you're going to pay them back more than you borrowed for the privilege of having that lump sum up front. Okay. That's how banks make money. You know, that's where they make it. So with the move to online money, um, everything's on a phone now. Yeah, the local bank doesn't make money. That's the reality. Local banking does not make money. That's not to say that it's not needed. And there's where the difficulty is, where you're telling a business, albeit a business that makes billions of pounds in profit. Yeah. So in the same way that, I think it was on my Pembroke Towncast where I said about bringing back the Valero bus, where Valero makes something like £3 billion worth of profit a year, so they can afford a bus for the workers. Um, you know, these banks are making billions, so yes, they could quite comfortably leave something in the high street. And that's where the issue is how do you encourage a business to partake in something that they know they're not going to make any money from? And this is where the politicians come in, that they could have influenced that decision when those decisions were being made. They could have, those parties that our politicians now represent could have stood up at that time and said, hang fire, let's not go all the way down the road unless we can protect what's happening on our high street. And they chose not to. And that's why it's a little bit hypocritical for me that we've got people now trying to make political gain from the closure of banks on the high street. So what's the solution? Okay, well, there's a couple of different solutions here. Okay, well, there's a couple of, because this isn't a single issue problem. Okay, so businesses no longer need to deposit money. People don't use checks. Credit cards all done online. You've got business accounts that are entirely online now. So the need for a local high street bank is very limited to a few sectors that still use cash and still need to access advice. So How does that work? You've got the post office. So post office, you can deposit and take out cash from your bank in the post office. Post office is still based in Pembroke Dock, albeit not in the way it used to be. Um, and what comes after that is entirely down to us, you know. And I will go back to this again, and I will keep banging this drum time after time after time because it's a drum that works. Okay. Every time you have a choice about where to spend your money, and I'm guilty as this as many have been in the past. I'm trying to change what I do as well. Okay. So all too quickly we go, do you know what? I'll just order it on Amazon. Amazon, run by Jeff Bezos, who basically just hired out the whole of Venice for his wedding and paid zip in UK tax last year. Every single time you're buying money from him, you're buying products from him, you are helping to close somebody on our high street. Okay. There will be opportunities on our high street where you can go and ask and you can say, do you stock this? No, but I can get hold of it for you. That's so it might be you've got to wait a couple of days, but you can then spend your money on the high street. So why does that work? If you're spending on the high street, particularly if it's a locally owned business, then all of that money pretty much stays within the local community. Yeah. And when I say local community, I'm Pembrokeshire because many people will, there are business owners in Pembroke Dock who live in Pembroke Dock, but they also Narberth, Haverfordwest, whatever. There are people who own businesses in Haverfordwest live in Pembroke Dock. So think of it as Pembrokeshire as a local community, but that money will stay in Pembrokeshire. When they pay tax on that money, okay, which they will pay business tax on that money, it will still be credited as coming from a business in Pembrokeshire. You pay your money to Amazon, that money will either be centralized at a desk, an office in a building, in a high rise in the middle of London city centre, or more than likely will be in Jersey or some remote part of the world where barely any tax is paid. And that's how they get around it. So, yes, you may need to pay a little bit more in your town centre, but that money stays local and gets spent local. And then it starts whizzing around. Yeah, it goes around the monetary system. So instead of being sucked out of Pembroke Dock and given to some people in Jersey, who then give it all back to Jeff Bezos, yeah, that money stays in Pembrokeshire, and the money cycle in Pembrokeshire starts to increase. So if we want to improve banking and our town centres, if we want to keep what's in our town centres, okay, banks are not going to come back to our town centres. There is an idea, a promotion, a movement for banking hubs, okay, which is kind of like all of the banks would pay a person or a group of people to be their hub in that town centre. So it's cheaper for them. Some of the money would stay a little bit more local, but it's a difficult concept to get off the ground because let's say oh, where everybody else has closed their local bank, so Lloyd's Bank has pretty much, as those who need it, people have migrated towards Lloyd's Bank. If we now opened a hub in Pembroke Dock Town Centre with Lloyd's, Barclays, NatWest, HSBC, they're your four main ones. Santander, if you're, and but you look at all the ones online, it just goes on and on. But let's say it's those five big ones, okay. But 80% of the customers are going to be Lloyd's, but everyone's going to pay in the same amount. That's where the issue comes. So, there are solutions out there. but they are not within our reach until we start spending more money in our town high streets. That is the reality. The people who get impacted most by um, closures of high street banks are the elderly, who will tend to use cash as a more of a habit. And you see that where your granny will still put £5 in your birthday card and things like that. That is the way it works. Um, smaller rural shops. I was in a shop the other day that uh, still only took cash. I was a bit confused. The first thing they say when you walk through the door, "Hey, we only take cash." Oh, okay. Um, so there is that's a little bit weird when somebody says to you, "We only take cash." You're not used to that, but it does tend to happen in more rural businesses where cash is more of an easy system, whether that's to do with the Wi-Fi, the internet system, the functionality, whatever it is. It tends to be a more rural issue, and we are technically classed as a rural area. Okay, so yeah, now normally at this point I'd say, here's your solution. There isn't an easy solution to this bit. It's about many different things working in many different ways. The banking hub is credit unions. There is a South Pembrokeshire credit union that kind of works as well. I don't know if that still exists, but that was quite a successful credit union where you would pay into a savings account, but it would all be held locally. Um, so and then there's the banking hub, but sitting there and complaining isn't going to make the bank change. So there's a lot of stuff that kind of needs to happen. Where do we go forward with this now? First of all, we need to find out who is going to be most affected and then work out how they can be helped. Okay. So take my mother, um, who will probably be listening. So hello, mum. Um, Does she do a lot of stuff on her phone? No. Could she? Yes. Could I sit there with her and say, right, this is how this works, this is how this works, this is how you can do it? Yes, I could. Have I done it in the past? Bloody incessantly. Yes, about 5 times, and it hasn't landed. But though that's what I mean by, we can do things. We can show people this is how it works on your phone. We can help them register for online banking. We can help them work through how that all works. We can help them with the safety and security of it. That's the key bit for getting people to use it, is the safety and security of online banking. Can we help our businesses? Yes, we can help our businesses with better internet access, with cheaper online payment systems. If you're losing 8 or 9% of every transaction that you use through a card machine, yeah, that's going to be harsh. That's a hard payment for a local business to take. But we can find better ways of doing that. We can use our town centre more. And this is where I will keep coming back to it. That is the key bit that we need to do if we are going to save the services that are there. And we need to be more willing to just take it. If you're sat there on a Saturday afternoon, okay, and you're going, oh, I wonder what shall I do? Go take a walk around the town centre. Go have a browse around the town centre. Maybe go into one shop and buy one thing from one shop. Yeah. Maybe just make that one change that once a week you're going to take one walk into town centre and buy something for less than a fiver. If we all did that, that would make a massive difference to every single town centre that exists in the UK. Yeah, but unless we're willing to change what we do, the you know the banks, we used to have NatWest, we used to have Barclays, we used to have HSBC, we used to have Lloyds, we used to have Britannia. I remember Britannia Bank, Britannia Building Society being there. You know, these have all gone and they aren't coming back. So yeah, we can try and hold on to what we've got, and we can try and find new solutions, but we have to be prepared to get off our backsides and go and do something about it. And that's not that's not really what's been said to us before. You know, we've got politicians quite happily saying to us, I'll sort this out for you, I'll make the change. You carry on doing nothing. We have to take this into our own hands. We have to be in control of our own future. We cannot allow politicians of any colour to control what we do, because they don't care. Their party does not care. Are they going to listen to you in Pembroke Dock, or are they going to listen to the head of the bank who controls 50 odd billion pounds worth of money, who puts a quick, quiet donation into a party fund for a couple hundred grand? Who are they going to listen to? The only way we get people to listen to us is by shouting really loudly and changing our behavior to make things happen. So, yeah, there isn't an easy solution, but there are solutions out there. And my one is, use your town centre more. Get cash going around your town centre if that's your thing. Teach people how to use their digital equipment so they can do banking online, so that they can cope. What we can't have is people not being able to do their banking. So, yeah, I have no doubt that there will be comments on that. So by all means, comment in the video underneath, comment on social media, because it is important. It is important that we keep the ability for uh, banking of some sort in Pembroke Dock, even if it is just the post office. But if the post office is here, let's keep using the post office, and let's keep doing what we need to do with the post office. Okay, so next week we're going to move on to sport now, but just say next week. Next week I won't be here next week. I'm off for my hollybobs next week, but next thing in line to talk about is being the end of the line. It's a concept that somebody has said to me a couple of times, that we're Pembroke and Pembroke Dock is very much an end of the line town. End of the railway line, end of the train, the road line, that kind of things. So, yeah, if anybody wants to come on and have a chat about that, and how that kind of affects the town, by all means, please do message me, and I'll get you on for the next one. So before I move on to the sport, as always. So yeah, I am finding this quite difficult to maintain regular stuff and do social media and things like that. I'd hope that somebody would come on board by now, and I get loads of messages saying well done and love what you're doing and all of that. And I go back and it goes, great, do you want to come on and be a presenter? Not really for me. And I get why people are nervous, especially if you've seen the abuse that I've had off certain sectors of society. But this is about trying to do some good for the town. So if you want to, even if you just want to have a crack at it and see how it goes, we don't have to put it out live. Message me, I love towncast at gmail.com. Drop us a line, drop me a line on here, drop me a line on social media or whatever, and let's have a chat. It isn't as bad as you might imagine. I say I've been doing this 3-4 years. I quite enjoy it. It's I get recognised in Tesco's, which is a bit weird. But yeah, it's come and join. Come and have a chat. It's literally having a chat and just talking about stuff which is going on in Pembroke Dock. I'm very, very aware that I've got my point of view that I'm promoting out there. And if you're sitting and you've got a different point of view, then come and have a chat. The whole point of this is to have that conversation and go, hang on, there's a different viewpoint here. So if that's you when you're going, yeah, let's have that conversation. By all means, come in and let's get going. So if you fancy coming and having a chat, I love towncast@gmail.com. You won't get a reply from me for this week because I've promised my wife that I am leaving my equipment behind as we disappear for a holiday. I am dropping all of my social media. I'm dropping all of my podcasts. I'm bricking it about what happens when I come back. I'll be honest with you, but yes. So if you fancy it, drop me a line. That would be fan dabby dozy. Okay, let's have a look at the sport. Okay, so what I will say with the sport this week, it really doesn't feel like that long ago where we finished the rugby and football seasons. And I know pre-season is starting for rugby, and I know pre-season for football is either starting or very, very close as well. So it won't be that long before we are back up and running with rugby, football, and cricket, which is a scary thought, if you ask me. Scary, scary thought. Okay, so let's have a look at results for last week in Division One then. So here's the key one. Here's the key result. Okay, so Carew beat Nayland. Both Nayland out for 155, 159 for four by Carew. That is a belting score, a belting win. So Saundersfoot also beat Loreni, which is a bit concerning, and Cresselly lost to Herbenson. Now, none of that we were expecting. Okay, Carew, yes, that was expected. Cresselly losing, Loreni losing. No, what does that mean for the table? This is what it means for the table. Carew back on top, Cresselli in second, Loreni mid-table again. So, I mean, it is tight at the top. It's tight between Carew and Cresselli, but Saundersfoot will be, they're not out of it by any chalk of the imagination. And Nayland in fourth on 131, you know, yeah, they're still going to be chomping at the bit. That's a couple of decent wins, and they're heading upwards. So fixtures for this weekend then, which will be the 28th, which will probably be the morning that this goes out, to be honest. So Loreni hosting Carew. I mean, I can only see a Carew win there, but Loreni are going to be biting at it. Really, they're going to go for this one. And then this one down here, Cresselli visiting Nayland. That is now really, really important. That game, let's go back to the table there a second. Nayland and Cresselli. Okay, so Cresselli in second, Nayland in fourth. That's a two-game swing. Okay, whoever wins this, if Cresselli beat Nayland, that's kind of like that separates Nayland downwards, and Cresselli are very much up the top fighting for Carew. If they lose that game, yeah, then they're very much in that second, third, fourth battle. So this is massive for Cresselli this weekend. If you are around in Nayland, put your hard hat on, take a couple of riot shields with you, and go and watch that game because that's going to be a bit of a corker, that one. Okay, let's have a look in Division Two results from last week in Division Two. So Cresselli seconds. I mean, Cresselli seconds beat Burton seconds, all well and good. But look at the score on that. Yeah. All out for 37 in a Division Two fixture. I'm not understanding that at all. So that must have been an awful pitch or something has gone wrong there. To score 37 runs, all out for 37 runs in Division Two. No, that's not right. Carew seconds lost to Narberth. That's more of the kind of scores that you should see in Division Two. Yeah, Narberth posting 281 for six. That's a score that you should be seeing at the top end of the table. Carew falling short, being all out for 149. And then it was the Pembroke score I was looking at there. So yeah, let's move on to the table. Where does that leave everyone in the table? Cresselli seconds, mid-table, Kiru seconds, edging to the bottom of the table. Burton seconds, you can see down the bottom there. Um, they've actually won one game. Oh my lord! But yeah, that's a ridiculous score to post. Fixtures for this weekend then. Kiru seconds host Lechlyd and Cresselli seconds host Narberth. That's a tough game for Cresselli seconds. Narberth are pretty much running away with the league at the minute. So they're continuing to stretch that from there. So tough game for them this weekend. Division 3, this is where the sexy stuff happens. So Division 3, Pembroke Dock, 145 for 2, beat Neyland seconds, all out for 142 by 8 wickets. Yep, baby, that's what we're looking for. So where does that put us in the table? Still second in the table, but 1 point behind now. 1 point behind Fishguard, but we've beaten Fishguard. So yeah, I am. Whoa, this is getting sexy now. This is where we need to be. Okay, fixtures for this weekend: Pembroke Dock and Lamphey. That's as close to a uh, local derby as we can get, and I think that was the first game of the season. So we must be starting on the second round. So there we are. There, look, Pembroke Dock in second, Lamphey mid-table. So a few years ago, when I was playing, if you'd have said that we're playing Lamptey and we're probably favourites to win that game, that would have been absolute crazy talk. So to be, not only favourites to win this game, but winning this game will put us top of the table pretty much. That's got to be awesome. So let's have a quick look who Fishguard are playing. Harford were seconds. Yeah, just below Lamptey. So hey, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Let's have a look in Division 4. Division 4 results from Division 4. There we go. Kiru thirds. Okay. So that game was called off. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know what's happened there with Kiru thirds. I think because it's that side there, that means that Llanrhian won that game. So I'm assuming Kiru thirds didn't have a team. Loreni seconds lost to St Ishmael's as well there, which is a bit of a shame. Where does that leave everyone in the table? Loreni seconds mid-table, Kiru one below them. So yeah, not completely useless, but I'm willing to bet that we would have liked to have been a bit higher. This weekend's fixtures then: Carew thirds, host Haverfordwest thirds, and Loreni seconds travel to Narberth seconds. Okay. Now, this is where the real talented players are. So Division 5, let's have a look here. So Haverfordwest fourth, 89 for 9, lost to Pembroke Dock seconds, 93 for 2 by 8 wickets. You've got to love that. You've got to love that one. Cresselli thirds. See, look at this is what I mean. I keep going back to that Burton score. This is Division 5, right? Cresselli thirds. Cresselli thirds, 203 for 6. How on earth do Burton seconds get bowled out for 40? 203 for 6. Lost to Whitland, who posted 270 for 4. What a game. I mean, wow, that is for Division 5, posting 270 and then posting 203 in reply. Wow. Okay. Other fixtures in there, yeah, don't affect us on that. So where does that leave the Dock in the table? Yeah, I see that game that got abandoned kind of is killing us a little. We are still not far away though. We are what's that? 8 points off Lechlyd at the top of the table, 5 points off Herbriston in the second place in the table. So yeah, that could be. This is going to be an interesting end to the season. Who have we got this weekend? Lechlyd seconds, away to Lechlyd seconds, top of the table. Now, if we're gonna win this league, okay, this is the game that we need to bring out. If we're gonna do something, Leclerc seconds away, this is the one. It'd be interesting to see the result on this one next week. Okay, Division 6. Division 6. This is where it all gets a little bit confusing. West Caselli, West Caselli lost to Pembroke thirds, all out 35, lost 36 for 4. But that's around about what Burton scored, and they're in Division 2. So, oh, crikey. Yeah, let's have a look at the table there. Pembroke's thirds are top. West Caselli third, mid-table. But again, the games played kind of aren't even. Leclerc thirds have got a bit of catching up to do. Fixtures for this weekend then. Lamphey seconds are playing West and Caselli combined on that one. I know that there are cup fixtures ongoing, and that, so maybe I'll do a little bit more on them next week, but I need to have a little look through and see where we are with that next week. Okay. So thank you once again for joining me on this week's Pembroke Town-cast. Say, if you want to get involved, please do drop me a line. It's I've got so much other stuff on at the minute. Let's say I'm launching podcasts for rugby leagues all around the world. I'm willing to bet there'll be an Australia New Zealand one being launched by the end of the year as well. All being launched and run from Pembroke. All being done in our town. We can do this. We can create a network of towncasts for every single town in the whole of the UK, potentially further, and we can run that from our town. Come and be part of it. Come and help me do some good work. I'd love to have you on board. I'd love to just not stare at my own face and talk to myself all week. So I hope you have a great week off. Like I say, I will be away next week. So it will be another week before I record a podcast. But thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I wish you all the very best. And as always, let's do the dog proud. Ta-da.
Be strong.